Yo guys, what's going on? Cliff Jumper 1984, your favorite Autobot, drinking that Natty Ice. Damn, that's a good beer on a Monday. Hey, last week, I think it was Tuesday, Metal Jesus Rocks, another YouTube gamer that I watch, he did a video about consoles and, his memories and stuff. And I was born in 1982, I'll be 33 this year, and I was like, damn, like, that's a really good topic because I think I grew up, like, in some of the best fucking years that arcades were there. Uh, because I had a lot of access and easy access to arcades from every place I went, things I did growing up. I was very lucky. And I guess it would start probably in about 1985, 86, 87, around the corner for my house where I live when I was just a young pup. There was this pizza shop called the Friendly Greek. I guess the guy owned it was Greek, I don't know. But they would have those Namco glass tabletops, you could sit and eat your pizza at, and it would have fucking Pac-Man at. And on each side of the table was a joystick, and the screen would swap. And eventually they got rid of that for a two game one, which had Pac-Man and Arkanoid on it. And man, and Arkanoid was just a little too hard for me at the time of like 6 and 7 until I, really got into it a little bit more. And gaming evolved in this place for me. I would later, what was it, in 87, get my first Nintendo, and I got the Zapper set and everything, and it blew my mind. And when you start off and you're little and you get your Nintendo, you got your 5 or 6 or 7 games. They eventually would get in a Nintendo Player's Choice 10. If you don't know about that, it's an arcade cabinet that basically had 10 preloaded NES games in it. You'd pay a quarter or 50 cents and you'd get so much time to play. And you could exit out of a game and go to anything else you wanted. And at the time, this cabinet had some of the games that I didn't have. Of course, it had Mario Brothers 1, it had Legend of Zelda, and it had Metroid. I didn't get Metroid until later that year. But then it had Russian Attack, which I didn't have. Well, it had The Goonies, which was never released on cart in America. And, I mean, just for the theme song alone, or The Goonies Are Good Enough by Cyndi Lauper, man, I'd love hearing that over and over. Ah, those good times, good times. And the place would eventually get remodeled. I had to wait a couple weeks and everything. Couldn't go play my Player's Choice 10 like every other Friday. Mom would take me, go get my pizza, play some Player's Choice 10. And you fucking walk in and the Player's Choice 10 is gone. And you're like, fuck, what the fuck are you gonna do? And you've never seen God so beautiful and so green. The Ninja Turtles arcade cabinet. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. That would drive me nuts. And we're talking like I'm 9, 10 years old, and then he remembers more than there was more arcades opening up. There was a mall, and I lived literally like 10 minutes a drive from this mall. And every once in a while I'd get to go with my mom. They ended up opening a downstairs arcade. There's like a giant food court and then like this big arcade. And then upstairs they had these 4 main malls that kind of like spreads out kind of like a star. It's hard to explain. But then, and there was like 4 main malls and 4 little side malls. And 2 of the side malls are these little dinky arcades. And that's where I started playing more and more arcades. It's like, wow. I was getting into stuff like Capcom's Magic Sword, and what do you know? What's this? It's Street Fighter. Yeah, fucking Street Fighter. And that blew my mind as a fighting game, and, I was stuck with that, hooked on that. There was a WWF wrestling game where the guys were kind of like short, they're all kind of like short, stocky, chubby guys. That was awesome. And when I wasn't going to the mall playing some of these, I was vacationing with my parents going to Ocean City, Maryland, and on the boardwalk at the time when I was younger, there was 4 arcades. Literally, the motel or like condo, whatever we stayed above, was on top of an arcade. I could just go downstairs on my own after I was 12 years old, fucking, get 10, $15 and just spend hours there. Whoa, when you can do that for a day, you are the happiest fucking kid on earth. And there was so many things. I was able to play other retro games like Cubert, Centipede, the old vector graphics Star Wars when you're playing the X-Wing. That was badass. And then there was this, like a level up RPG-ish, but hack and slash Dungeons and Dragons. That game was, it graphically for the time was at like 92, 93, looked beautiful in arcade. And even going in at home, there was a skating rink, and I'd go out and skate, birthday parties. It was there. As much as, you're 12 years old trying to skate with some, good looking girls at 12, you're trying to fucking play yourself some Dungeons and Dragons. Fuck that noise out there. Oh, man. And then some of the other hack and slash games and beat 'em ups, again, going to the beach would be like 93, and then Turtles in Time. Maybe it was 1993, but Turtles in Time, the arcade, playing that shit. And then when they came out with the dual screen Turtles one, where you could have two screens, so everyone wasn't all shoved up with four people in the same arcade cabinet. And then at the beach, this was another thing. I mean, the X-Men arcade. I played that earlier when I was younger, but going to the beach, they had the big 3-screen one where all 6 players can play at the same time. That was fucking awesome. And then I'm a drummer. I don't know if you know. Maybe you've seen some of my older openings, and there's some music vids and stuff of me playing drums in my bands on stage and shit. When MTV came out with like this drumcade, where they had like 200 some preloaded songs, and you can play with it's kind of like an electric drum kit the way it's set up. That's kind of cool, but it's like when you want to play it, and you're on the boardwalk, it's always out in the front, and everybody's got to come watch you and shit. That's fun. And then later in the 2000s, or early, late 90s, 2000s, stuff like Time Crisis, Rush. That game was awesome. I also skipped over Daytona USA. That's a cool game. Daytona USA is fucking awesome. There's not too many racing games I really do enjoy, like Outrun and stuff like that on arcade. Pole Position, Atari's old Pole Position, that shit was badass. Oh man, and then a lot of the more evolving fighting games would come, like where you can pick 2 characters, and the first one I would play would be Street Fighter versus X-Men. And when you're okay at Street Fighter, that game becomes so fun. And I beat that on arcade plenty of times. I think it's harder on console than it is on arcade, unless it's just me. And I'd be destroying that game and shit like that. And then, what was it, Marvel vs. Capcom, and then Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And then I would go to the arcade, because at the mall, I used to actually date a girl who worked at the mall. And I was going at like 19 years old after I get off work, go see her, and I was taking like a couple bucks and going downstairs where you could sit down at one, each had your dual screen and the big encased thing, and fight in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I could be there for like 2 hours on like $2 because I was okay, but then, there'd be, and I'm not racist or anything, but this Asian guy would get right on and he'd whoop my fucking ass, and I was like, damn, and I couldn't believe it. It was crazy. Yeah, my hair is getting fucking, I don't know what to, I just can't wait till it gets long again. But it would blow my fucking mind. And then probably one of the things that, I know I went and did arcading like a year and a half ago. I went to the beach, or was it just last year, 2 years ago? So I went down with my cousin and my wife. We did some arcading when we were down there. It's good memories. But the last big thing I remember was playing a racing game called Initial D. It was based off the anime, and you could pick your car, and which was cool. When you'd win a race, you could upgrade it, and if you paid so much money, you would basically get like a card or a license that would have all your upgrades, and it would save your card and everything you did to it, which I thought was fucking amazing, and I wish more things would have been implemented like that. Arcade gaming, it's pretty much dead. I like that. Like I said, I enjoyed that I got to grow up in the era I did with it. I wish I had one here in what this game room's becoming. I'm sure in a few years I'll be able to afford like one of them Neo Geo arcade cabinets where you can swap out the boards. Or I'd love a Player's Choice 10 down here. I mean, I've got enough NES games, but wow. it was one of those big things in a gaming memory that I sure do miss. I wish that I can go do every once in a while. Beercades are starting to become kind of popular, but they're not really making the revenue, and I kind of would see that working in the area I live, how it's sprawling with a lot of people drinking a lot too. I mean, it's just thoughts. This is stuff I wanted to share with you guys. What do you remember most about arcades and good memories and some of the games you enjoyed? Throw them, right below in the comment section. Slap a like on this, favorite it, and open a beer. So until next time, everyone, drink one with me.